It's a pretty good. So what made you push the button then? What made you click the pay?
Fourth time.
Actually, it was because I came along to one of your events where you had it in person, and you gave me some flowers. I thought, oh, that's really nice. I don't normally go to meetings and get flowers.
That's all it takes.
See, £5 spent, down the co-op, you'll be fine. So.
Hey everybody, it's John Lamberton here alongside my good friend and business partner, Mr. Jason Brockman. We are here for another episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast, where as always, it is our job to help you get more customers and make more money without just working harder. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this month's episode.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast. Today's guest is Michele Marsland from Marslands Accountants, who specialise in helping landlords with HMRC's Let Property campaign, which I've described as an amnesty for undeclared rental income, saving their clients an average of £6,000 in tax. Michele is personally responsible for getting Jason and I back into the golf course, and spends most of her time living in a place called Pink Flamingo land. All will be explained later. But for now, welcome to the ALB podcast, Michele.
Thank you. Pink Flamingo land, my favourite place.
You spend a lot of time there, don't you?
I do, yeah. Well, I have this year.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely.
There's a definite, I need to spend more time in Pink Flamingo land this year. Because this year is the hashtag year of travel.
Hashtag a year of travel. You do like a hashtag, don't you?
I do. Well, about 3 years ago, I was following somebody on LinkedIn and they had a hashtag and it was called The Journey is Real. And I thought it would be really good if I could get a hashtag together that I could put on my, social media and everything. And that's why since then I have a hashtag for the year.
Good. Year of Joy, was that the first one?
That was the first one with the Year of Joy, yes.
There we go.
Time to shine.
Time to shine throughout all of the years. So that one is my constant. That became about on COVID when everybody was posting really negative stuff everywhere on social media, and I just thought we need something to change that. So that's where Time to Shine came from. Really, is that anytime if somebody posted something positive, I would go hashtag Time to Shine.
Oh, brilliant! I thought you were starting a window cleaning round.
No. Just trying to create some positivity in what was a very negative world.
Definitely. I think I was thinking about this when I was planning out this episode. Did we first meet on LinkedIn?
I've no idea. I remember Jason from the odd quiz and that, but I think you came round to my house with a book.
I did, but I'm sure we chatted on LinkedIn first.
All right, I can't.
And then I offered to kind of just, do you want some of my books? I couldn't give them away for love nor money at the time. And I found someone like, I'll take some off your hands. Brilliant. I've got some wonky table legs.
I think you maybe messaged me. And to be fair, I didn't know you at all then.
Yeah, exactly. So from dropping those first copies of Big Ideas around, I then obviously a couple of years later came out with Routine Machine, and you invented something called Chapter Roulette.
Yes.
Now, because you had an advanced copy of Routine Machine, didn't you? You had it before it came out.
I was very privileged there, and actually I felt, because that's when I was doing some videos as well, and that's when I felt actually it was really to give people a bit of a teaser as to what might be in the book without actually telling them what was in the book.
Yeah.
So I did because it was only about a week before, because I was going to Tenerife, and so you gave me this advanced copy. So it gave people a bit of a teaser, so that when the book was actually launched, people had a bit of an idea that that I liked the book, obviously, but also Chapter Roulette just came about without. So I didn't want to give the game away as to what it was really about, so I could give a bit of excitement without.
No spoilers as to the ending.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's where it came about. Yeah, and also I think sometimes as well when you're reading business books, if you think it's very rare for a lot of people to get from a start to a finish in a book, especially a business book, because sometimes they can be a bit dry. So I often open a book up and I just get the book and I hold it and I go, "Can you tell me what I need to know today?" And I would just literally open it at that page. And actually, sometimes you get some amazing answers, and it saves you reading the whole darn thing.
What? Can I do that for our book of the year, John? Can I just do the odd page instead of the whole books?
You could try it. It's like, what was the greatest takeaway from this? Copyright 1984, George Orwell.
My favourite book of that is of all time, a fictional.
Oh, there you go.
1984, yeah. You didn't know that.
Narrated by Stephen Fry now on Audible, if you want to go and get it.
This is my favourite.
That's it. So let's talk Let Property campaign. So I described it in your introduction as an amnesty for undeclared rental income. Is that accurate?
They don't actually call it an amnesty on HMRC, and I'm not quite sure why, because to be fair, for years I called it an amnesty. Mm-hmm. And then when I was doing some research on it myself, I thought it actually doesn't say it is an amnesty. So because most of the amnesties that HMRC have always had in the past have only been 6 months, maybe 18 months at the most. So I think that's why the language has changed with HMRC over this period, because it's not called that anymore. It's still called the Let Property campaign, but basically it's an idea of trying to get landlords into the self-assessment system. Because they just don't realise, most of them just don't realise that they should have been declaring it. There are some that do, but a lot of them don't, because they're accidental landlords and they've just got one property and they're on PAYE and they just sort of think, oh, somebody else is doing it. They think the letting agent's doing it, the mortgage company's doing it, taxman's doing it. So they often don't even realise that they should be, declaring it. So when they find out, that's when they go a bit sort of green. And they give us a call and go, oh my God, what have I done? Because a lot of these people are professional people with high flying jobs like bank managers, IFAs, head teachers, all the people that are in a really important position. A lot of the ones are. And then, they suddenly find out they should have been declaring it. Or the services, actually, that's a really big one, because a lot of service people rent out property when they go abroad or whatever, and then they don't realise. So, that's quite a difficult one, because they're serving the Queen, but then they're also not declaring their tax to the Queen.
Is it because they just don't realise it's an income? It's kind of like, it's just me nan's house that I'm renting out. It's not an income.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they rent it to the family. That's even worse. A lot of people rent it to their kids or to something like that. So, they're only paying the mortgage. Yeah, but since the mortgage interest rules have changed, they're actually getting an income, you see. So that actually they could end up in a problem, because you can't have losses either for families. So whereas a normal rental, if you make a loss, like you do a large repair, you can offset it. But if it's to a relative and it's at a reduced market rent, you can't. So they get caught that way, you see. So, yeah, difficult one.
Yeah. And you've shared some stats. It's about 1 in 3 landlords.
Yeah, 1 in 3 landlords, approximately 1 million, the HMRC reckon, but I think it's probably more. We're getting a lot of inquiries on a daily basis now about this. So, because HMRC realised, I think the Let Property campaign will either go on for a very long time, or HMRC will just go, that's it. We're drawing the line under the sand now, and now anybody else is going to be an inquiry. Yep. And the problem is with an inquiry, they're much harsher. They're effectively they're not supposed to be bonus related, but I believe they are in the inquiry division. And so with that, then basically, if they assess you for £10,000 or £20,000, then, if you end up paying 5,000, it doesn't matter, basically, because they're assessed on what they've originally raised for you. And to be fair, most people won't even argue it. They'll get an assessment from HMRC and they'll just pay it because they think HMRC.
They know that they've got it right, haven't they? Particularly, I guess, if, like say, it's the accidental landlord, whereby servicemen are probably a very good example, whereby someone else takes care of all that. That's automatic. We once had a guy very early in our business career work for us on a self-employed basis, who was hopping mad when he got his tax bill through. Why have I been charged tax? I said, well, you're self-employed. Said, you take care of that. I work for you. I said, no, you work for yourself. You're self-employed. And yeah, he just couldn't get past that mindset of someone else takes care. Tax is this black magic voodoo thing that someone takes care of for me. And if I owed money, they'd tell me, wouldn't they?
One of the interesting things that I've learned, obviously, with working with you, Michele, is that HMRC know who these landlords are already. They're often on a list that's been provided by letting agents and whatnot. Mandatory lists kind of thing. So actually, the HMRC know who you are. If you are kind of hiding, they know who you are, sort of thing. So it's like, It's just a matter of time, really, that they're going to get round to you, I guess.
Because every landlord has to do like a gas certificate or electric certificate. So they can just go to the plumber and ask for a list of all of the certificates they've done for the year, you know. Airbnb give out their client list all the time now, because that's a large area where people are often doing it in their homes as well. So, yeah, HMRC will find everybody eventually, but it will be an eventually thing. I mean, what I found recently is they've started working on about 2 years ago. So people who've only just started renting. So often we're getting inquiries from somebody who's literally started renting 2 years ago, and HMRC is saying, we think you're renting your property. We think you should be in the system. So they're catching them earlier.
Brilliant.
Which that should help people, because they'll only have a year or two to do. The problem is when somebody comes to us and they got 17 years and 6 properties.
Yeah.
You're talking a lot of money. And when you start adding it up and you say, well, you realise you've had about £1 million worth of rents, don't you? And they go, really, that much? Yeah, but I've got 6 properties.
How do most people discover the Let Property Campaign? Is it they get a notification from HMRC, or do they just like hear one of your videos, watch one of your podcasts and thinks, I need to get this sorted. Perhaps I should have a chat with somebody.
HMRC do send out quite a lot of letters, yeah. But I think in our experience, of the ones we've been getting coming to us on that's probably only about 20 or 30% of the people that come to us. A lot of people tend to find out from a friend or something like that. You know, they might be talking about their property, and the friend will just go, well, you can claim that against your accounts, you know, and they go, oh, what's that?
What accounts?
That tax return that you do every week. And we get a lot of people like that that just find out by accident. And they're the ones that really, once they find out, that's when they really want to get it sorted yesterday. Yep. They are quite worried. They're finding me a lot through the YouTube videos, because that, you know, that's changed how we've done our business over the last few years, is by doing the YouTube channel. So we do get a lot of people to come through that, through the website as well. Most of our business used to be Plymouth based 2 years ago. About 95% was Plymouth based. Now we're swapped the other way, and we're sort of about 10% Plymouth based, you know, especially with the landlords and the Let Property campaign. Yeah.
So if there's an accidental landlord listening to this podcast, which is quite believable, because a lot of business owners will have a property on the side, a bit of side investments, and they're thinking, oh, perhaps I should be declaring this income that I'm receiving. What's the first steps they could take to find out more about how you could help them with the Let Property campaign?
They Google Let Property campaign. We normally, if you put on videos on there, we come up on the first page in quite a few videos. I've got about 20 or 30 different videos explaining different parts of the Let Property campaign, what the Let Property campaign is. I mean, HMRC, it's all on the HMRC website, but it's typical dry HMRC. So what we try to do is do lots of little videos answering people's questions on that. We've got obviously our website as well, which is marslands.co.uk. We've got some information on there as well. And that's where you can get a quote from us about how much it will be to help you sort it all out. So That's how you get in touch with us. Yeah.
So you joined the 1% Club 3 years ago now, Michelle, and I love the fact that we've progressed so far on your journey that when I ask you how people get in touch about the Let Property campaign, you just say, well, Google Let Property campaign and we come up.
Well, we didn't used to, not well, because on the written stuff, it's really hard to come up. But if you just click the videos in the images and that, we do come up a lot on that. But that's part of the mindset change I've had, and that, because we've tried to do things like SEO and stuff like that now.
Absolutely, we've tackled it all, haven't we? So
I've not really heard of, but until years ago, it's still a bit gobbledygook to me sometimes. But I think part of the problem of running your own business is you are trying to run your own business. You're trying to be an accountancy firm first. And help your clients with their businesses. I always felt I was quite lucky when I started on my own years ago, that at least I understood how to do the accounts and the VAT and the tax and that. Whereas most other businesses, they have to learn that bit as well as the marketing and actually doing the work and the plumbing and whatever their job is. They have to learn all of that plus the accounts. So I always felt I was quite lucky in that respect.
We had a relatively new 1%er. I had a conversation with him this week, and he said, I don't understand the dark arts that is marketing. Now, to me, marketing is not dark arts. Marketing is the fun bit. Marketing is just the bit I absolutely love about running businesses. So you probably get the same when people are saying, I hate accounts. Accounts is boring. Accounts is dull. It's like, no.
A lot of people, they have number blindness.
Yeah.
Even when I'm showing them the numbers, they go, I still don't know what you mean. So I think accountancy is, you have to understand the numbers to be an accountant, to be sure. Yeah. But I think you have to understand people more, because it's more about the people than it is about the numbers, So because if you've got somebody that doesn't understand those numbers, there's no point keep repeating the same thing. You have to take, like one of our clients at the moment, they're not making the profits they should be making. So what we've done is we designed a little spreadsheet for them, and we say, right, you put in the figure that you're buying the materials at, yeah, and the spreadsheet will tell you what you're supposed to selling at, yeah, and the spreadsheet. So I've tried to give them 3 different things with the 3 different margins, yeah, so they can try to see now why they're not making any money.
Yeah,
their percentage had gone down so much that actually they just not making any money, and they're getting worried that they're not making any money, but they're not charging the right prices for what they're doing.
Yeah, time and time again.
Yeah. So we do deal with businesses as well, but most of our business has been with the landlords, and that because I was a landlord myself, that's how we got into it. In the previous recession, quite a while ago now, we bought some properties ourselves, and then HMRC has got all these guidances. Oh, you can't have that, you can't have that, and they're going, hold on a sec, this is my money now, my property. I think I can have this. I think I can have that. And that's where we tend to save clients a lot of money, because I tend to look at what the law is, because obviously the law is the law, but there is so much guidance that a lot of people might follow that actually I think is outdated and incorrect. I mean, for years, HMRC said you couldn't replace a single glazed window with a double glazed window. That was actually an improvement. Finally, after 20, 30 years, they finally changed their mind. Yeah. They realised it's really hard for people to get hold of single glazed windows. Yeah. So actually now it's classed as a repair, but it took them a long time to change their mind. So their guidance is guidance for a reason. It's not law. So, and that's where we help them save that extra money and charge them extra money for saving them extra money.
Absolutely. Worthwhile service.
Yeah.
Good. So this episode is going out in September, which is our latest intake. Now, you sat and watched 3 intakes go by before you joined, didn't you, Michele?
Yeah, about 3, I think.
So
I've stalked you 2 for ages. I watched all the ALB podcasts. I watched loads of things. I even read some of your books as well. I thought, oh no, I'm not quite ready. There was one, I remember you did one in your garden once going, this is one of the reasons why you should be joining the 1% Club. And I was so close to pressing that button and saying, I'm paying for this. I go, no, I'm not ready to. It's far too expensive. I can't afford this. And to be fair, it's only when you talk to other people now and you think £1,200 a year or whatever, it's not that expensive. But at the time, I've always had this mindset that like, £1,200, oh, that's a couple of holidays, that is. I'd rather go on 2 holidays than pay £1,200 for that business thing, and it's a strange mindset that until you get out of that, you can't see it at the time. Yeah, and that's the thing. And it's sort of, we talk about return on investment and things like that, don't we now? And I sort of like, I never really thought of it like that. I just thought of it as an expense, really.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people, I think, have that same. Because when we have a conversation, it comes around to price, and we say, "Oh, it's well, actually, the price is going up now, so it's £107 a month." So what's that? Hang on, let's have a look. £1,284 per year, including VAT. You do get 20% back.
But you don't if you're not VAT registered. You
but let's face it, established businesses will be VAT registered, won't they? Some of them will, anyway. Now, one mindset would look at that and say, okay, I'm going to spend £1,300 a year. Can that generate me £5,000 a year? Can I find a couple of things over the course of a year of hanging around with different people, learning about different skills, being held accountable to actually do the work, properly planning what to do? Could I add £5,000 to my bottom line? Could I make £300, £400, £500 a month for my £107 a month spend? But so many people go, ooh, 107, I'd be £107 a month worse off. Like, not if you do the work and you follow the plan, you won't be. If you don't do anything with it, yes, you will be £107 worse off.
Yeah, and to be fair, I was like that back then. I'll be honest, I was. I saw the costs rather than the benefits.
Yeah. And I think that's a big part of that is natural human psychology, because I give you the price and I tell you, this is what it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you £107 per month. But I can't tell you what your return on investment is going to be.
Okay.
For some businesses, it will be zero because you won't do the work. For others, well, we've had conversations, haven't we, Jason? The last year or so, we say we need to put a zero on the end and charge £1,000 a month because that's the value they are getting from it. And it often, the right business needs one idea, one action to suddenly think, oh my God, I'm making several times my monthly cost back versus that initial, geez, that's going to cost me £100 a month every month.
Yeah, it is changing that mindset. It's only when you sort of, and I'm not quite the other side, but when you've looked back on it and you go, oh, that was so silly. Why didn't I join, a year earlier? I'd have had much more benefit from it because the first 6 months, I hardly got any benefit out of it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Basically, I listened into a few coaching calls. I missed all of the initial emails whatsoever. There was no accountability with Jason. There was no money back guarantee. So I was literally, I remember I was on the edge of quitting and I went out and played golf with you two. And I even told you I'm ready to quit.
Yeah, you've almost left us about 7 times, I think.
Probably, yeah.
I hear it frequently, to be honest. It's a frequent. So what made you push the button then? What made you click the pay?
4th time.
Actually, it was because I came along to one of your events where you had it in person, and you gave me some flowers. I thought, oh, that's really nice. I don't normally go to meetings and get flowers.
That's all it takes.
See, £5 spent, down the co-op, you'll be fine. So that was sort of part of it. And then just listening to the people around the table and sort of taking part in what they were doing, because some people were a bit more established than others as well at that meeting. I felt I was in the wrong place, and so also, like, some of them were talking about really big stuff, and I was going, oh, I'm not sure this is really the right place for me. But then there was another chap, Lee, I think it was, and he's going, oh, shall I be doing this or not? And I think that sounds sort of like my thoughts sort of thing. So it was quite nice because there was that balance, different people there, and I quite like that sort of feel. And then actually Jason sort of said, look, if you're still not sure, let's meet up. And so we went and met up, and he pulled out of me what I was trying to get out of it, which at the time was copywriting assistance, because I was trying to do a new postcard for landlords and that about the Let Property campaign and that. So that's what I sort of like, right, I'm going to join, I'm going to get that done 3 months in and I'm going, right?
Too much what she said.
In, out, bish, bash, bosh, done.
Yeah, absolutely.
And 4 weeks in, what happened instead?
So on Saturday, the 12th of October, I was playing golf with my girlfriends, and we were on a golfing weekend, and I slipped over and broke my leg on the golf course, which people can't believe I'd done it. And to be fair, when I sat in the ambulance and the lady put me down, so it's a sporting injury. And I was going, me, sporting injury? That's hilarious. What are you on about? She said, well, you were on a golf course, I said, yeah, I suppose so. So, and that's it's not the first time I've broken my leg either, actually. That was about 20 years. I broke the other leg, actually, about 20 years ago. But at that point, I thought, oh, that's really strange that I've broken my leg again. I mean, obviously, you get there was a lot of long, hard haul around that. But you sort of I've always been an in-depth thinker and going, well, and I got 6 months lying on a sofa thinking, okay, so why did I break my leg? I question, there must have been a reason for it, blah, blah, blah. I don't just accept it's just an accident. There's a reason for everything that happens within our lives and that. And that's what I think, well, there must be something wrong that I need to fix, if you know what I mean. And that's when you start looking around on my business. At the time, I had a really good business. I had some staff that were doing really well for me. We were running a nice business, we've got our own offices. It was taking up some of my time, but I wasn't working 7 days a week like I used to, which is why I got the staff in to stop me working 7 days a week, because I didn't like doing that. And I hated January's because I'd be up at 5 a.m. and finishing at 10, 11 o'clock at night. So that was starting to move along a little bit, which is good, so I could get some time out. But obviously, after breaking my leg, I was literally lying on a sofa and I couldn't get off it most of the time. And so I literally got my phone and I'd lie there and I'd sit on my phone going, right, what work have I got to do today? Yeah. And obviously I had very little brain power, because I was on the medications and all that. And after 2 weeks of breaking the leg, they had to break it again effectively to put a plate in it. So just as I was feeling a little bit better, they had to push me back a few weeks again. So I had to run the business from literally my front room, which is where I was almost living most of the time as well. So it's quite a difficult time as well. And, when you're trying to run everything from a phone, you realise you've got to let go a little bit. And I used to try and do everything, I have to say. I remember one of my previous mentors, he made me write up on a piece of paper, said, right, there are some jobs in your world that are £5 an hour, and there's some jobs in your world that are £95 an hour. Right, which ones should you be doing, Michelle? Well, I think I should be doing the £95 an hour ones, really, shouldn't I? And he goes, yes, you should. Right. So I used to have a little picture up on the wall in front of my desk going £5, £95. So whenever I tried to think, should I be doing something, I had to try and look and go, actually, that's something I should be delegating. So I had delegated quite a bit over the previous years because we had a friend of mine who came and worked for us for a few years. And whereas before everything was on paper and it was all in my domain, it's in my diary, and they had to come in and see my stuff. And so I had moved quite a bit onto Excel spreadsheets and that, so I could share it. But I was literally still in control of everything. I was still controlling the day-to-day operations of what happened in the practice. I mean, we're like nearly 3 years on from that, and I've still got the same people working for me. Yeah, so nothing much has changed apart from me within it. And COVID helped us, actually. I have to say, COVID helped us big time. And also the 1% helped. They changed the whole mindset about how I should run that business. Instead of being in it, I had to let go of a lot of it. I had a nice young chap, Chris, who works for me, and he literally would come over every day with his little files or whatever and his little book and said, what do you want me to do today, Michelle? Da, 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 da. And then he'd tootle off back, and then he'd go and report back to the rest of the staff, sort of thing. We started using Teams as well, which is sort of like, a way of communicating with the staff, because I realised if you ring somebody up and you ring on the phone, you can't see people's expressions on that.
Yeah.
And I remember ringing up one day, and I rang back later and I spoke to Chris, and I goes, is something up with one of the other members of staff? And he goes, yeah, she wasn't very happy when you were talking to her. I said, all right, what happened there? I said, I'm not quite sure, but somewhere you just said something that she wasn't quite happy about. So that's it. So we went on to Teams then. I said, well, you might not need to see me, but I need to see you, so I could assess what was going on, so that if there was anything they weren't sure about, whatever, I'd get the whole facial expressions and everything. So whereas everybody else started using Zoom / Teams in like March, April the following year, we were already on it.
Yeah. And we were trailblazers. You were using Zoom for 1% as well.
Yeah. Oh, I hated that. I hated looking at myself on Zoom. And one day I remember eating when we were on a 1% call. I thought, never do that again, Michelle.
Don't worry, Michelle. What we'll do for this podcast is we'll dig out that clip, because all the calls are recorded. We'll dig out that clip of you munching on your lunch, and we'll just intersect that here. All right.
Yeah, I used to absolutely hate watching myself on video whatsoever. It was awful. It was one of those things that once you got past it, it's much easier, but I really didn't like doing that. But a lot of the time, to be fair, I was lying on my sofa anyway, so I didn't even put the picture on. I just listened into a lot of those early coaching calls because I didn't have much else to do. So if I was awake, I'd sort of listen in, really. But I didn't at that point, I didn't think that I was getting any value out of the 1% Club at all. But I think with hindsight, my little brain was working on it, knowing that when I felt better to come out the other side, which was probably about 5 to 6 months later, that in that time, I was ready to move forward much more. But that's only with hindsight, I can see that now.
Yeah. So at the time, you didn't see the value, but it may be later that you say, actually, why do I know about SEO? Why am I interested in doing YouTube videos all of a sudden? It went in via osmosis.
That's a different story, John.
The YouTube videos, I blame Jason for that.
Yep.
Totally. The videos came about. Actually, I did videos years ago on my 10,000 steps a day challenge. And before I broke my leg, I was doing at least 11,000 steps a day for about 6-8 months there. And I was mostly on average doing about 20,000 steps a day, especially when I was playing golf. That was really easy sort of thing. So obviously that all changed once I broke my leg. But the videos came about because I was telling people about my journey of 10,000 steps a day. So when they did it for cancer research or whatever, I was doing that sort of, come on, you can do this, you can get out and do that, you know. So and then when COVID, not when COVID hit, so when I started walking again, I started to use the videos to get myself motivated as much as anything, but it was all personal. Some of the 10,000 steps a day had been on Facebook, but I kept everything else pretty much under wraps until Jason prodded me a bit and go, I challenge you to do 30 days. Well, actually,
challenge, Michelle.
February or March. It might have been 28 days, actually. I challenge you to do a daily video every day for the next month. So I did. I don't think Jason realised I was going to put them in the 1% club to get some critique from him. But actually, that helped me hugely. I remember my first video. I remember where I was as well. It's a holiday in near my son's university. And I sat there and I had the light all wrong. But I couldn't figure out how to change it. And it's only when I was put it on the 1% club, I said, I know this doesn't look right because I look really dark and, you know, and that. And they go, yeah, you just got to sit the other way around, Michelle. Oh, right. But it's those little things that actually helped me not just get the confidence to do silly little videos. Well, they're not silly, but to do those videos. And then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, obviously on a daily basis, I was getting loads of information coming in. And that's why I've got my backdrop, actually, because when COVID first hit, I was in Spain. And in Spain, you weren't allowed out when you were locked down. You weren't allowed to leave the hotel. So when I came back from Spain, because obviously everybody was chucked out, I thought, well, if I go and stand outside my office with my phone, then that means I'm going to work each day, doesn't it? So they can't stop me doing that, can they? So that's why I started doing the videos outside the office originally, to get that sort of that exercise each day. So, and then also when COVID hit, we were getting hundreds of emails every day about different updates of different grants, different whatever's going on, furlough, you name it, we had it, sort of thing. And so I would stand outside the office and I'd do my little video of, 1 minute or whatever, 20, 2 minutes, telling people what Rishi was saying today, basically, what new thing had been brought out, how to go and apply for the council grants, all sorts of things. And it's only afterwards, really, to be fair, in the probably the year or two later, that I found a lot of people were watching the videos. Nobody commented or liked at the time and said, thanks for sharing that, Michelle. But there was one lady, I met her at a Lady Kingsman thing. She came up to me, she goes, Michelle, I really need to thank you. I said, all right, that's fine. Yeah, what for, I'm going to buy you a drink. I said, okay, why? She said, you have given me thousands of pounds. I didn't give her thousands of pounds, but because of my videos, she'd watched them all and she'd made sure she claimed for everything. And she said without that, she wouldn't have got, 10,000-20,000 pounds worth of assistance and that sort of thing. So that's what really changed my video journey, probably, because I was doing it because I had to do it for my own clients. But as I've said before, I've got a small base of business clients. So I was learning all of this, 50 pages of rubbish every day to be able to tell 5-10 people. And that's when I started doing the video, saying I can help more people than that. So that's what I did.
Yeah, I think videos are, I was just going to say, I think videos are underused by business owners, really. And the fact that you kind of went out there and you started doing them and you got through those barriers, the seeing yourself on the screen, hearing yourself back again. You probably never listen to yourself back, do you? Do you still?
I do now, yeah. I did a video.
You never do those kind of things. It's always that barrier, but actually the way that you've used it has been so effective. And to move on to the property campaign, or go back to it's kind of full circle, those videos that you've produced for those have paid dividends back, as well as in terms of your business, giving you that authority, showing that you know what you're talking about. People have a relationship with you that you don't even know you've got, and then do business with you, which is great, isn't it?
It is. And to be fair, a lot of the time we were getting inquiries from what I call the sort of clients that we weren't actually trying to attract, but I was trying to do it to help them. And that's when I changed the tactic and said, right, I need to stop doing those videos now, do them occasionally if there was a new grant or whatever, and then concentrate on doing the Let Property campaign. And that's when we started doing those, really to help people, so that if they did have questions, instead of sitting reading all the pages on HMRC, that they could watch a 2-minute video, and that changed everything really from our point of view, hugely.
Yeah, 2 things about the your Let Property campaign videos. Number one, that's definitely a £95 an hour job.
It's much more than that now.
Exactly. I was going to say, because you've turned it into an evergreen asset, haven't you?
I have. The last I checked, I earned approximately £1,000 per video.
Per video. And each video is how long?
Couple of minutes, no.
Couple of minutes.
Yeah.
So £5,000 an hour?
Yeah, I really don't know now, because I need to track it again. But it's one of those things, like you say, it's going to be continually increasing, isn't it? You know, I mean, I did it originally to help people out, but actually it's helped our business as well, sort of thing. So, and it changed it last year, so that we had about 35 Let Property campaign clients last year, whereas 7 years ago it was 1. 3 years ago it was probably only about 8. So we have changed it dramatically, and this year we're on 20 so far. So
very good. Yeah, it's I think in evergreen assets I talked about the actual hourly rate. So working out, everything you've taken out of your business divided by the number of hours you work, that's your actual hourly rate. So in my mind, anything you could outsource for less than your actual hourly rate, someone else should do. And anything above your actual hourly rate, that's where you need to focus. So actually, you could be doing the photocopying, the filing, the admin, posting on social media, but actually creating a specific Let Property campaign video, £5,000 an hour. That's where your message is, and that's where that should be. Let's talk pink flamingos. So all this focus, because if you earn £5,000 an hour, you don't need to work that many hours and that many weeks. So listeners to this podcast will have heard us mention a pink flamingo. To summarize very, very quickly, it is the prize we have ascribed to the 1%er who works the least amount of days, complete days, in their business throughout the year. It's a 4-foot-high inflatable flamingo. It costs about 15 quid on Amazon. But for some reason, switched on, really, really successful business owners are competing with each other to win this item. And currently in the lead, I believe, by my reckoning, although we have got Tracy Owen hot on your heels now, Michelle, is yourself. So how have you spent most of this year so far in pink flamingo land?
But getting the staff to do more things. They do with COVID. That's why I say COVID helped us quite a lot, because I used to get January out the way, and then I would go off on holiday for 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, to Tenerife or whatever, just to get away from it all. And then I'd go somewhere else, and then I'd go somewhere else. So, but it was all little pieces of. And then last year was the year. Oh, sorry, we were locked down in January. And we were told, that's it, from January to March, you're not going anywhere. I thought, God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I thought, right, okay, have a word with the staff. So I said, I've got 2 months here. I'm locked away, basically. You're locked away. What do you need to learn from me? And so literally they would see possible new clients on Zoom at the same time that I was doing it, so they could see what I was talking about and everything like that. And then when they did that, then they could then run the next meeting, and then I would watch them doing it. So basically I delegated what was my biggest part of my work, which was the possible new client stuff, which I'm so glad I did that, because it's tying them up loads now, because we're getting so many more inquiries, especially on the Let Property campaign. So that actually was taking me out of doing the real business, which is working on the business, because I was literally doing all the possible new clients as well as reviewing their work. So I tried to train them all up in that period when we couldn't go anywhere. And they said, but once I'm allowed out again, that's it. I'm going to be on the golf course, traveling around, and I won't be here anymore. I'll still be available to you. I speak to them every day, once a day, normally, unless I forget, like yesterday. No, I did.
You forgot to talk to them.
Great routine, that one, is it? I was going to say, don't we take this back a little bit further to when you broke your leg, and that's where those systems and the learnings and the education and actually training them to actually have to do your work for that 6 months. COVID then sped that forward a bit more, but
yeah, that's where it would have started. Yeah, because I couldn't sit at a desk and do real work anymore. Yeah, I could sit on and look at a phone for like 5 minutes or whatever, but the concentration was very low. So I had to teach them to help themselves basically, and I couldn't do any of the admin stuff. So yeah, it starts back 2.5 years ago, and then we just polished it last year, I think is what we've done. So that's why
two horrible things that's happened in your kind of life really with your leg, which was pretty terrible for you at that time, because you just got your love of golf, spent the entire summer out on the golf course and broke your leg, and that was really terrible for you. And I remember how much that really hurt, not just physically. And then obviously COVID, and from both of those, that's enabled you now to take out lots of time for holidays and stuff, because you've freed your time up in the past.
Yes. And this year, and to be fair, because this year is the year of travel, I said, because I was locked down 6 months before everybody else was locked down, and I haven't been proper holidays for a couple of years as well, I said, this is it. I'm going away every month this year. And then I told my husband.
Did you tell Graham he could come too, or was it just I'm going away every month?
I'm going away without him some of the time, but yeah. And then so we went away in January. So, which as an accountant, you're supposed to stick to your desk in January unless you don't do tax returns. But I told the staff, I said, that's it, 20th of January, I'm out of here. I told the 3 clients that I have to see before the end of January, that's it. Deadline is there. I'm leaving, you know. I did do a little bit there, but I didn't do a lot in that 2 weeks' time. And then actually I was there for 2 weeks. I thought, I don't need to go back anymore. It's February now. So I stayed another 2, which I've never done anything like that before in my life. To suddenly just say, I'm on holiday, I'm going to extend it. So I ended up staying a month. And I enjoyed it so much, came home for a couple of weeks and went back again for another month.
Absolutely brilliant. So this is that Ambitious Lifestyle Business podcast, and we always ask every one of our guests, what does an ambitious lifestyle business mean to you? I think we've heard an awful lot of that, but let's hear what that means to you.
It means being able to work in the business for as little time as possible and still for the business to run efficiently and effectively. Definitely. I'm aiming for 3 mornings a week now working in the business. And that's doing everything, including the working on the business stuff. So I can play golf as much as I like, so I can go up to Pink Flamingo land whenever I fancy, and just enjoy my life, really. I mean, life is not all about money. That's one thing I have learned in the 1% Club, and I've changed a lot on my money mindset in this time as well. So it's not all about money, and you have to live it. And I think a lot of people have learned that during COVID, that they have to change their lifestyle. But a lot of people still have this mindset that I have to work 9 to 5 to do it. You don't. You really don't have to work those hours. So you can go to Pink Flamingo land as well, as long as you don't beat me this year. All right.
We talk about mindset a lot on this podcast and a lot within the 1% Club, but we don't necessarily talk too much about money mindset. But I think from listening to you today, that's quite important to you, isn't it?
Yeah, my money mindset has changed a huge amount in the last 3 years. And I think lockdown showed me a little bit of what life could be like if you were, where you were at that time and everything. Because that's just when I was starting to go back out again, and we were all told we couldn't go out. And at that point, I was locked down in a house that, I'd lived there for a very long time, and I loved it dearly. I loved the convenience of it and everything. But as lockdown stopped, the noise got higher and higher. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure I can live with this anymore, So that's when I started looking to move house. And it was a really difficult time for me because we'd been there for so long, 3 decades nearly. And so, so you've got to spend some money now. And I was like, I'm not sure about that. And we looked at these houses that we could afford, and you said, oh, that's okay, but it's not quite what I want. And it was just some of the stuff that you've been saying all these times. You think, well, yes, you've got to think about the assets, you've got to think about your life, and you've got to think, and I was weighing all these things up. And I tell you what, the house I'm in now, I absolutely love. And I'm so glad we made that move. But I'm not sure I would have made that move 3 years ago, because I would have gone, oh, I'm not sure we can afford this. I'm not sure we can do that really. Mm-hmm. And by changing my mindset with that house and with everything else we've done since, I go, it's not like I don't care anymore. It's just I don't think about it so long and hard and go, not sure you can do that anymore.
What's been the biggest change then to your money mindset? Is it your self-talk? Is it the people you surround yourself with? Is it the books you're reading? Is it just...
It's not the books I'm reading, I can tell you that, because I tried really hard in the first year of the 1% Club to keep reading those books, and I realised I just don't like doing it.
Yeah.
So it's not the books. I know through osmosis from other people reading the books, I get to pick up some things, but it's not through that. I think it's more about being around the people, and also that sometimes you have to change it within you. You know, it's sort of like if there's business expenses £100, oh God, I'm not sure I can do that. But if it's a personal, we're going out for a meal, oh yeah, we'll spend £100. And I think, well, hold on, there's no real difference.
Yeah.
But it's almost like I had to justify it because it's in the business. You think, well, that's wrong, you know, because a business expense actually should earn me some money back.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be an investment. That's it. We mentioned when we talked about 1% earlier, that difference between an expense and an investment. An expense, you're not expecting any return on investment. An investment, you are.
So I think it's been some of the talk that we've had in the club and everything for sure. Yeah. But it has to be from within. It really does have to be, you know, you have to change from within first, I think, with all of these things, whether it's money mindset or, you know, any other thing in your business.
I think it's being in part of the club really opens your mind to what's possible, because living in your own world without that example of other people that have got the like minds of people that you could aspire to, or the people who are having different journeys than you don't know it, do you? You don't know what you don't know is one of my comments.
That's my favourite saying. I was just about to say that, Jason.
One of those things, isn't it? But being part of the club, you kind of like, you go, oh, that's possible. Oh, you can do that. You know, I don't know how many people you're inspiring by taking so many holidays, in fairness, and we spoke about Tracy and others in the group, but actually there's people in the group now that's going, I don't need to be in my business. Oh, I can set it up like this, and then I can have some time out. And I think that's a wonderful place to be, inspiring others. And I think that's where my journey started with you, really, from those 10,000 steps a day videos, those little tidbits, and you're inspiring people back at that point. So absolutely brilliant. We've reached the end of this one, so you can take a nice breath now, because I know you were really enjoying you really looked forward to coming on this podcast, didn't you? So I'd like to say thank you for joining us today. You have been amazing.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Remind us once again, Michelle, anyone wants to get in touch, Let Property campaign, money mindset, or anything, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Probably through LinkedIn, Michele Marsland. Yeah, because then I do read them. I just don't reply to them if I don't know it very well.
Don't do a connect and pitch. If you've read every asset, you know not to connect and pitch.
I hate connect and pitch. I just don't even reply to them if they do that. If they say, I've seen you on the podcast, I'd like to talk to you, then yes, I will connect back.
There we go. I met you on the podcast. I really enjoyed it. Do you look for a new gas and electricity supplier?
It's a start, isn't it?
It is. It's one way there. Cool. Thank you, Michelle. I hope you found this interesting. For those who are listening, as I said, the 1% Club doors are open right now if you are listening to this in September. If you want to get more information on that, or you want to sign up, just head to our website, bigidea.co.uk, and click on the button that says 1% Club. If not, we'll see you next month. Bye-bye. Bye.
So there we are, another episode in the can. How was it for you? Please let us know. However you listen to these podcasts, please leave a review on that platform. Let us know what we can do better, what you like, what you don't like, and how we can improve to make this show even better for you. We'll see you next time.